Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for being here. It is Friday before Jaguars and Chargers in Jacksonville at the bank. I will not be there. I will not be in Jacksonville. On a family vacation, coming out to see my wife's family, Kara's family, out here in Kansas City, Lee's Summit. It is gorgeous out here right now. Weather, about the same as it is in Jacksonville. But you got a lot more autumnal colors on these trees. Absolutely beautiful right now. But the Jaguars face the Chargers this weekend in a game. Is it technically must win? Maybe not, but it feels like it is. Jaguars 5-4, trying to keep pace in the AFC South, trying to keep pace in the AFC wild card. They do technically control their own destiny in both. Jags, they're behind the Colts right now, no doubt about it, but they have 2 games against the Colts. And obviously playing the Chargers, who are 7-3, a team that's won 3 straight games, a team that is in 5th place in the AFC. They are at the top of the wild card standings in the AFC right now, 2nd in their own division. They're ahead of the Chiefs right now, who are actually tied with the same record as the Jaguars. But the Jaguars own the tiebreaker after beating them on Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. Trying not to say that too loud around these parts right now, but it is the case. Jaguars have the tiebreaker with the Chiefs. Can they get the tiebreaker with the Chargers? That's what we're talking about right now. And unfortunately, the Jaguars had some really bad injury news today. You knew the injury report was long all week. Got several names that the Jaguars will not have in this game that I think are crucial to their success. None bigger, in my opinion, than Britton Strange and Anton Harrison. You also have Jordan Lewis, who's not going to be able to go in this game, and Hunter Long. But Britton Strange, it did seem like a long shot, right? He came off his IR requirements, 4 games. Jaguars opened up his practice window this week. He did start practicing this week, but not going to go in this one. You would think he'll probably be good to go next time, next game out against the Cardinals in Arizona, but he's not going to be out there. Compounding the issue at tight end, not having Britton Strange, is also not having Hunter Long. So you're relying on guys you really didn't plan on having to rely on this year as starters. Johnny Munt, Quentin Morris, these guys are having to play a lot with no Hunter Long, with no Britton Strange. You were hoping to get Britton out there in an ideal world just because he brings a level of physicality, a level of competency, consistency that you just don't see a lot on this roster right now. He's a great blocker. He's kind of like a fire starter with his effort, with the way he plays the game. And then he's also a really good receiver, good athlete. So he kind of does it all for the Jaguars offense. And maybe they didn't realize how much they needed him until he wasn't out there. And then you have Hunter Long, who certainly not as consistent, but actually has some legitimate talent to tap into, athleticism and length to tap into, can create mismatch problems just athletically. He's not nearly as consistent. You've seen him make his fair share of mistakes for the Jaguars, but not having either of them is pretty brutal against a Chargers team that is playing great defense. You'd love to have Britton Strange out there as a run blocker in space. You need to be able to run the ball against the Chargers, right? They have a great pass defense right now. That's kind of their MO, is their pass defense. But no Britton Strange, no Hunter Long. Then you get to your right tackle spot. And the Jaguars don't have Anton Harrison. Anton Harrison has been, in my opinion, by far their best tackle, by far their best offensive lineman this year in Jacksonville. He's been really the only one that's played with close to consistency and very high level consistency. He is a Pro Bowl level talent in pass protection. He's improved massively as a run blocker. And so you really wish you could have him out there, especially because you've been dealing with injuries on the offensive line kind of across the board outside of left tackle, which is one spot where a player you expected to be at least average, to be at least decent, has been anything but. I mean, there's been a couple games here and there where Walker Little has played fairly well for the Jaguars, but overall, in some big spots against some big-time talent, Walker Little has failed miserably as the Jaguars starting left tackle this year. Put Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and others in really bad positions. And so you're now talking about having potentially two tackles you can't rely on because you don't feel confident you can rely on Walker Little. Is this matchup technically as bad for Walker Little as some of the ones he's really struggled in? No. But the Chargers aren't scrubs up front. Khalil Mack, Odafe Owe, obviously, Tuli Tuipulotu, Bud Dupree. These are guys that can take advantage of Walker Little if he's not playing sound fundamental football. And that's nerve-wracking. And then you are out Anton Harrison. It's like, how are we going to execute at tackle? That's a hell of a question. And then you're also down Jordan Lewis, who, hell of a player. But Jarian Jones probably deserves to be starting in this league at nickel. So not as big of a letdown without Jordan Lewis because of Jarian Jones' play in most games, in both of the games he's been in so far. But what you can say, too, is he'll be tested more in this game. Jarian will. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, these guys can do great things from the slot. You've also got Aronde Gadsden at tight end. You've got Quentin Johnston as well. So not going to be easy by any stretch for Jarian. Still, good player. It wouldn't have been easy for Jordan Lewis either, who wasn't playing great football, was not playing his best football the couple games before he went down with injury, unfortunately. And then also ruled out for the Jaguars beyond Britton Strange, Hunter Long, Jordan Lewis, Anton Harrison. Obviously, Eric Murray not going to be playing on IR. Travis Hunter out for the season. Brian Thomas Jr. is questionable. You know, BTJ right now, he's one of your top 2-3 receivers for sure. Like, Parker's going to be able to play, which is great. Jacoby Myers is going to be able to play, which is great. But if BTJ's not there, then you're talking about seeing a lot of Diami, potentially a lot of Trammell, Tim Jones. You don't have the ability to run a lot of big tight end sets and just limit the amount of receivers that are on the field because you have injuries at tight end as well. So it's a mash unit going out there for the Jaguars. It really is, unfortunately. The Chargers know all about that at the offensive tackle position, but they've been able to overcome it a little bit better than the Jaguars so far with, inconsistencies and then injuries. It's going to be a tough one. It looks like a pretty bad matchup on paper, but the Jaguars are a team, even with these injuries, if they cannot beat themselves in a game, they have the ability to hang with anyone. You've seen that a couple times this year. You have not seen it consistently enough. You haven't seen it much in 3 of the last 4 games. And so it's a tough one. I don't know. I still haven't made up my final decision on who I'm picking, but I think you can tell which direction I'm leaning for sure. And the Jaguars, if they do lose this game, they'll fall to 5-5. They'll fall even further behind the Colts. They'll potentially fall out of 7th seed in the AFC wild card, the AFC playoffs. And then obviously you have a couple games that look winnable on the schedule after that, but who knows? If the Jaguars lose 4 out of 5, all the injuries they're dealing with, the youth, the newness throughout the coaching staff, front office, the roster, could be a bad deal. Could be a very bad deal. Let me know what y'all are thinking in the comment section below. Appreciate y'all tuning in, supporting the channel. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.